What is inflation? Apologies for this statement of the obvious, but inflation is rising prices. Who sets prices? Is it workers? No, it's companies. Companies set prices and prices are going up. That's inflation. Still, despite corporate profits soaring above inflation, there's a blame game going on as the finance media strives valiantly for its business lobby paymasters to keep wages low, therefore blame unions and workers for whipping up inflation. They're just a fraction of it, maybe 10 to 20%. It is not in doubt that companies have been hoisting their prices by more than inflation. I mean, how much is a block of cheese these days down at Coles? It's outrageous.
That's a bloody outrage, it is!
What about this haircut? $35. That's barber-led inflation. I can remember when it was $5. It was only $30 a few months ago. Now, we tend to gauge inflation by how much the groceries cost, and it's a great measure. But there are more sophisticated methods. Analysis by UBS Research found prices at Coles and Woolworths had increased by 9.6% over the past 12 months to April. That's above the rate of inflation, and it found Coles prices had jumped sharply in April alone, up 10.5% over the past year. We're all paying through the nose for our toothbrushes, our potatoes, and our cheese. That's compared to 9.1% annual rise in March, and it's based on a data track of 60,000 food prices in supermarkets. So we're being gouged. Good on the companies for making a higher profit. There's not enough competition in Australia. Small market, big country. It's an ACCC problem. But in any case, we're just talking about the supermarkets here. We're not even talking about the banks and their mortgage rates or energy companies and their nosebleed prices whose profits go off to foreign companies mostly. But the problem here is official denialism. It seems that the business lobby has both Treasury and the RBA in its ideological camp. When the Australia Institute, the progressive think tank, came out earlier this year with research that found almost 80% of inflation was due to rising corporate profits, they were smashed by their conservative economic adversaries who have been scaremongering about unions and workers and their effect on inflation. TAI found that Australian businesses had increased prices by $160 billion a year above costs. With furious indignation, the finance press claimed the research was flawed and a barney ensued between the Conservatives and the Progressives. It was good to have a change from whether interest rates go up, down or remain the same. But then, a week ago, none other than the OECD handed down a global inflation report saying yes, big companies were profiteering from inflation, and there was red faces all round in the fossil media, especially as the OECD is now headed up by none other than our very own Matthias Cormann, who admitted that his government had a deliberate program in place to suppress wages. The funny thing is that the pro-business lobby and its economists seem to have the backing of both Treasury and the RBA, because when the AFR did an FOI request, it got what appears to have been a one-day turnaround. Such efficiency. Here's poor old Rex Patrick, our transparency warrior, who's been fighting, in some cases for more than 2 years, in one case for 4.5 years, to get an FOI response. In this case, the 4.5 years, it was on the attack class submarines, the French submarines, which of course are no longer extant. It's a thing of the past, and the information still has not been forthcoming, despite Rex travelling to the Australian Information Commissioner, getting fiddled around with there, and then going to the AAT to appeal the case just to get, wait for it, access to public information that is now passé. As Rex said of the double standard, I'm in the AAT seeking access to documents which I requested 4.5 years ago, well before the project was cancelled. I will be ringing Ron Mizzen, that's the AFR journalist, to ask him if he can share the use of his magic wand when it comes to getting FOIs from government. Such is the way that our democratically elected government in Australia treats its citizens differently. Thank you very much for your support. Comment and like in the section below.
That's a bloody outrage! That's a bloody outrage! That's a bloody outrage! That's a bloody outrage!